Hello, in this video I will try to explain the difference between mind and brain. Uh, First, let me explain briefly Hebbs law. Hebbs law says that neurons that fire together wire together. So let us say you have if you look to the OCD cycle, you will see the trigger. You will see the emotional or OCD senses, then this will trigger pain, worry, and anxiety. Then you will do the ritual or the compulsive behavior. In all of these, there are neurons that are working. When you do these blocks after each other, so first block, second block, third block, then in all of these blocks there are neurons in your brain that will fire, because you always do the same sequence of this cycle. So these neurons that fires together will ultimately wire together. They will become as if one single electric circuit, one single neurological circuit. Okay, now brain is connected directly to the senses. It is connected directly to your nose, eyes, ears, mouth, your body. So it is connected directly to these senses, the external senses, but also the internal senses. It connected directly to the senses. Then after receiving these information, it will analyze them and present them to their awareness. The brain duty is to sense and analyze, then responds to the danger or fear. So this capability of the brain, or our brain, is developed during all these maybe thousands, millions of years. They are developed to respond, to protect us. After analyzing the information from the senses, it will respond to protect us. One example of this response is the fear, fight or flight or freeze response. And now this is the brain. So the brain is connected to the senses. It responds quickly. It takes into consideration the short period of time, the short-term goals. It doesn't look to the whole picture. It doesn't look to your values. Brain is a quick responding circuits. Emotion, also emotion and sensations, they are also short-term signals. Now, if we go to the mind is different story. Mind is defined that it is that thing that is take long-term goals into consideration. It takes the whole picture. It sees the whole picture. It sees your values, your long-term goals, your real values, your real goals. It sees the whole picture. So now it works on the long term. It doesn't take only short term, but it takes long term goals, long term period, long time. Okay? So if you let your brain chooses during the OCD attack, then your brain will chooses for the old circuits. It will chooses what he has learned through all these years or months. The brain will not choose according to the large picture, while the mind, before choosing, so this is why, in fact, this is why we also will try to learn mindfulness in these sessions, in these videos, because mindfulness increasing the distance between you and the these signals, these senses, these signals. So, but also I want to say here that values. So one of the definitions of the mind is that it takes values into its considerations. If you let your brain choose during the OCD attack, it will choose for the old habit. But if you let your mind choose, then the mind will take into consideration your values, your long-term values, long-term goals, your real values, and it will take the whole picture. Therefore, whenever you repeatedly do something pleasurable or avoid some kind of painful sensation, your brain learns that these actions are priorities and generates thoughts, impulses, urges, and desires to make sure you keep doing them again and again. It does not care that the action ultimately is bad for you. The mind cares. The mind cares that these actions, what you are doing, is ultimately bad for you. This is very important. So one of the problem of the client in OCD therapy is that he after a period of time or get relapsed or he breaks the ARP sessions, or even he don't dare to go to ARP sessions because it is very heavy and frightful for him. Now, values is a great motivators. Values are great source of motivations. We need we need this motivation very much in our life. Life is full of challenges, is full of dangers, fear, pain. It is full. So this is why to commit to a value, to commit to a goal, you should be motivated. And motivated continuously, I mean. Not only motivated in a very short period of time, short-term motivation, like in a lot of sensational pleasures or short-term pleasures, but also short-term pain. But mind looks always to the long terms. So this is why in ACT one of the core processes is values and also commitment. But to have a commitment, a real commitment to ARP, to therapy in general. Also, life needs continuous ARP. Lives have a lot of challenge, So you need a continuous exposure and response prevention in life. This is why you need commitment to values. So values is very important in the therapy and outside the therapy also. Okay? I'm trying to say here that there are two different entities, mind and brain. Normally we take them as one entity. I want to say that mind changes the brain. If we let the brain, then it will choose always the same cycle. It will choose always the same OCD cycle. Obsessive, then compulsion. The same obsession, the same compulsion. Obsession, compulsion. The same old cycle. Brain cannot change itself. Mind changes the brain. So this cycle that you have these three blocks, the obsessions, then the anxiety or fear or pain, then the compulsion, it is a learned cycle. You have learned it through all these years. To break this cycle, we need to inject some awareness, something that have to do with your real values, that have to do with your with the therapy skills. This is a learned skills that is these skills is learned in accordance to your higher values. So values is very important to make long commitment. If you want, this is why sometimes ERP fails, because also in relapse, one of the main reason of relapse after therapy, after OCD recovery, is that a client stops with exposure. He is again afraid from exposure, and of course, if he don't expose, then he will not respond. He will not prevent its response. So he will afraid exposure, and if he is not afraid from exposure because he is forced to, like in his work or in his family, he is bombarded with these obsessions and images and thoughts, but he lapses or relapses because he lapses or relapses because he is again afraid from response prevention. He chooses for the old responses. He chooses for the old responses. This is why you need values. You need the source of motivation, source of continuous motivation. Values, you check always your goals, your values, your long-term goals. You check them always during the therapy, outside the therapy, in the life. Okay, you always you check them. Am I still walking in this path towards my values and higher goals or not? Values is extreme. I will repeat. Values is extreme important way to have long-term commitment. And see you in the next video.